What's up, folks? We're packed and stacked with a lot of brand new insight about G.I. Joe Classified. What's the latest on the newest G.I. Joe reveals for YoJo June? What can we share about Red Dog and Taurus coming to Classified? Why has the Legacy Police Officer been postponed, and what have we learned about it? Why are fans so annoyed with Hasbro over YoJo June? We've got answers on all of that and a lot more. Folks, this is a banger of an episode. Watch until the end. And remember, when it comes to G.I. Joe insight, clarity, and consistent quality, there's no substitute for the real thing. Before we get started, if you're not yet subscribed to Viper Island, now is the perfect time. Subscribe today so you don't miss an episode or any of our exclusive insight, research, and opinions. First up, we're rolling into the final stretch of YoJo June, and while the month may be winding down, the reveals might just be heating up. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or in this case, the snowcat in the garage. All signs point to this icy beast being the next big HasLab project for G.I. Joe. Fans have been speculating for months, and now it looks like we're on the verge of finding out for sure. Will it live up to the hype, or will it leave fans cold? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Rumors are flying about an official reveal for the long-teased Dreadnought Thunder Machine as well. If that happens, brace yourself, because it could finally give the Dreadnoughts the centerpiece vehicle they deserve. Plus, whispers of new figure reveals like Night Viper, Sci-Fi, Flash, and Wetsuit have collectors eagerly awaiting those characters. Will Hasbro reveal them now, or wait until the San Diego Comic-Con? Stay tuned and we'll find out. And then there's the curveball that nobody saw coming, the return of the Renegades. That's right, Red Dog and Taurus are tagging in for a brand new 2-pack. The best part? They won't be a Hasbro exclusive. Like the Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack, this one's dropping through fan channels, so Amazon, GameStop, and all of your favorite online retailers should have you covered. But this won't be part of the 2025 lineup, so we'll have to wait until next year for Red Dog and Taurus. Now here's where things really get interesting. Red Dog and Taurus may not be the flashiest names on the roster. These two have been cult favorites since their 1987 debut, and this might be their best shot yet at getting the recognition they deserve in classified form. Red Dog's got personality for days, but Taurus, he needs to stand out. Fans are already hoping that Hasbro makes him appropriately larger than life. So, where do you land? Are you on Team Snowcat? Are you really hoping for that Thunder Machine? Are you hyped for the Renegades comeback? Or are you still holding out for someone else to be revealed? Let us know what you think, because YoJo June might be wrapping up, but the real fun could just be getting started. Next, Week 3 of YoJo June 2025 has come and gone. And what did we get? A single digital render. That's right, just one. Night Force Beachhead and Quick Kick. We knew about this back at the New York Toy Fair. But for YoJo June in Week 3, there were no new character reveals, no pre-orders, no roadmap, just a random half-hour interview hyping Skybound's G.I. Joe comics. This wasn't a surprise reveal, it was a shrug. Hasbro's lead designer Lenny even admitted on the stream that they had already showed the figures for Night Force Beachhead and Quick Kick, but he didn't think that they had showed the digital render, so he said they might as well show that now as well. That's not a reveal, that's stalling for time, that's corporate filler. Remember, Hasbro claimed at the start of the month that every week would bring new reveals. Instead, they front-loaded the excitement with Week 1, and then nosedived. Week 2 brought a cancelled stream and the silent shelving of the controversial Police ESU figure, with zero communication. Week 3, no plan, no effort, no engagement. Let's look at the bigger picture of YoJo June. Week 1, the hype began. Then in Week 2, the live stream was cancelled 10 minutes after its scheduled start. Pre-orders quietly dropped without any announcement or confirmation, and the Police ESU figure mysteriously vanished. Then in Week 3, there was nothing but a recycled render and holo filler content. This isn't just a misstep, it's a pattern. A company that says fans come first continues to disappear whenever the conversation becomes inconvenient for them. Then, after ghosting their audience and dodging valid questions, they'll come running in Week 4 with a big smile, asking us to throw down hundreds of dollars for a new HasLab campaign. If that doesn't feel like being treated like an ATM, what does? Hasbro's strategy feels less like community engagement and more like a bait and switch. They hype up YoJo June for weeks, only to tap out after 1 week of actual effort. Then they expect fans, many of whom they've ignored, disappointed, and even insulted, to buy in all over again with blind trust. That's not a trusting relationship. That's a one-sided hustle. It's the equivalent of a used car salesman wiping down a dented hood and calling it limited edition. And yes, we've been calling this out for 4 years. Some people said we were too negative, but here's the truth. We're not here to be Hasbro's unpaid PR team. We're not going to fake smiles and pretend every delay, mistake, or no-show is somehow part of the bigger plan. That's not journalism. It's not even real. That's just free corporate propaganda. We'll let the desperate bootlicking propaganda channels do that. We'd rather save you money, let you know when the sales are happening, show you both the good and the bad, and tell it like it is. We respect you enough to give you the real talk. And let's be real. Week 3 of YoJo June was an embarrassment. Not because of another quiet week, but because of how obvious it is that Hasbro did not plan this month properly, didn't communicate their changes, and still won't take accountability. It's YoJo June, and they're hiding away. What was the point of this month at all? And now they want you to fund their next expensive HasLab after all of this? Let's talk about it. Is Hasbro out of touch, or just banking on fan loyalty to keep covering for their mistakes? Sound off in the comments. Let your voice be heard, because if we all don't hold them accountable, who will? If you're enjoying this, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Next, folks, I said at the top of this episode that this is a banger of a show, and we're just getting started. Let's jump back another week, to week 2 of YoJo June. It was supposed to deliver big reveals, collector excitement, and a high-energy pre-recorded live stream. Instead, there was just radio silence, confusion, and frustration. And it's worth diving into this because there are a lot of red flags with what's going on at Hasbro, and we're going to tell you what it means. As mentioned earlier, Hasbro abruptly canceled the scheduled live stream after it was already late, pulling the plug 10 minutes after the show was supposed to start. There was no warning, no explanation, no follow-up. Collectors were left refreshing live stream links, chasing rumors across forums, and staring at their screens wondering what had just happened. And in true Hasbro fashion, while they said absolutely nothing, of course pre-orders still went live a couple hours later because there's money to be made, folks. And they want as much of yours as they can take. When there's an event to advertise, they're up in our faces. There are posts on all their official channels on social media. But when something needs to be canceled, they'll quietly just hide it in an Instagram story that most people don't even see. They should be taking the same approach for cancellations and bad news as they do for when they're making announcements of something that's about to happen. When it doesn't happen, you go back to the original source and say, hey, this is not happening anymore. That's called showing respect for your audience. Figures quietly dropped for pre-order with zero fanfare. No live stream, no press release, no Instagram post to let fans know that pre-orders were actually happening. Just a quiet rollout that collectors stumbled across on their own. And let's just point this out. Before anyone says that we all knew pre-orders were going to happen, there was never any confirmation by Hasbro at any time before or after the scheduled live stream that was canceled. So that's completely false. Anyone trying to defend or make excuses for a $10 billion company is just licking their boots for free. And only someone with no self-respect would do such a thing. Among the pre-orders that were dropped with no heads up were the Awe Striker with Crankcase, the Renegades 2-pack of Mercer and Sergeant Slaughter, the Retro Cobra Bat, and the Retro G.I. Joe Trooper. But not everything made the cut. One figure mysteriously vanished from the Week 2 rollout. The Legacy Collection Police ESU figure. Originally planned for release alongside the others that I just mentioned, it suddenly disappeared from the lineup. Now here's where things get real. In the weeks leading up to YoJo June, headlines across the US have been dominated by political turmoil, including illegal detainments, kidnappings, and abuses involving law enforcement. It's been a hot-button issue. Against that backdrop, Hasbro seems to have quietly hit the brakes. Whether it was internal caution, PR jitters, or upper management stepping in, the decision was made. The Legacy Collection Police ESU figure was no longer going up for pre-order. One of the decision makers for Hasbro's G.I. Joe brand appears to have gotten cold feet and canceled the figure's release. And that brings us to Hasbro's giant misstep. By not addressing this change publicly, and by pulling the figure at the very last moment, after product shots had already been revealed, Hasbro created the exact kind of attention they were trying to avoid. Instead of letting the moment pass as part of a larger wave of announcements, they've accidentally made the police figure the focus of YoJo June, and this was completely avoidable. Let's be blunt. The G.I. Joe Classified audience is overwhelmingly made up of adult male collectors between 35 and 55. They can handle nuance. They can understand context. If Hasbro had simply gone through with the fan stream and let the figure drop like everything else did, it would have already faded into the background of countless pre-orders that fans are waiting months for. But now, it's a spotlight moment they created themselves, and it's not going away. So why did Hasbro wait until the final moment to pull the figure? After all, the national climate in the US has not shifted in the past few weeks. If it was a concern, why reveal the figure at all the week before? And why take photos with the figure shown in unfortunate and questionable poses with a hand raised in the air for no good reason? They're just asking for backlash at this point. And why build a legacy collection of first responders without anticipating what that could trigger in today's political and cultural landscape? No matter what side of the fence you're on, and regardless of the decisions that are made, these are topics that are discussed in boardrooms and Zoom calls at a billion-dollar corporation like Hasbro. And they had all the time in the world to back away from this figure even before they announced it and revealed it during the first week of June. It's not like there was really anything that changed in the week that followed, which would have forced their hand to cancel this figure. Once again, Hasbro has revealed that they should not be taken seriously. Now from Hasbro's perspective, here's likely what happened with this cancellation. They anticipated backlash, and with the country's mood being tense, they probably didn't want to risk being seen as tone-deaf or politically insensitive by releasing a riot police figure during a time of public scrutiny towards law enforcement. It's a cautious corporate move intended to sidestep controversy rather than address it. Keep in mind, we're talking about an action figure here. This is not going to change the world. So why the cold feet and sudden ghosting? Simply put, Hasbro hoped to fly under the radar with this, but by not explaining their decision and by pretending the figure never even existed, they've now just guaranteed that it becomes a long-term talking point. Whether they wait 6 months or longer to bring it back, it doesn't matter. The delay will always be part of the story. A reversal like we're seeing with this police figure is nothing more than a knee-jerk reaction, and it's an amateur move. It exposes that some of the wrong people are in charge at Hasbro making decisions. They can't even stand behind the decisions they made in the first place, and worse yet, when problems occur, they've shown over and over and over that they have no idea how to handle a problem. This is not the first time that this has happened with Hasbro, and definitely not the first time it's happened with their G.I. Joe brand. As a matter of fact, this is what happens every time there's a problem. You'd think that they would learn from the past and figure out how to deal with these problems better in the future. And as a result, that just leads to one problem happening after another. And all of these were not destined to happen. They happened because of Hasbro's incompetence. Let's not gloss over this and defend a company that's had multiple times to improve and make better decisions with the same exact problems that happen over and over. And here's the funny thing. As a result of Hasbro canceling this figure for now, their main competitor in the military action figure space has predictably already announced that they're going to create their own police officer figure, trying to capitalize on this like a troll. Sight unseen, we can already tell that it won't be anywhere near the quality of Hasbro's work here with the G.I. Joe Classified series. But trolls are desperate for attention when money gets tight and a brand is failing. And when other police figures are made by lesser toy brands, Hasbro's cold feet over this police officer will once again take the center stage. Other toy brands who see this as an opportunity to make a name for themselves at Hasbro's cost are going to find out that this is not the opportunity they think it is. The focus of this controversy is Hasbro and the G.I. Joe Classified series. Now that fans know what the figure looks like, they want the Legacy Collection police figure released. Not some third-party G.I. Joe knockoff from rinky-dink toy brands with poor quality, bad-looking cartoony paint apps, constant quality control issues, and bad reputations amongst collectors. And again, if other toy brands see this as a moment to steal the spotlight, it simply won't work. It'll only remind collectors about the reason why knockoff police officers are being made by other toy companies. And when that happens, all eyes will go straight back to Hasbro and the G.I. Joe Classified series police ESU figure that they really wanted. So, was it a mistake for Hasbro to even make this figure in the first place? Given all of this controversy, that's a fair question. Introducing a riot police officer into the G.I. Joe Classified series makes a lot of sense from both a collector and brand perspective. The G.I. Joe universe is built on the concept of elite forces protecting the public and engaging in tactical missions, and specialized law enforcement fits seamlessly within that structure of G.I. Joe. A riot police figure would offer a grounded, real-world style character that many collectors crave. Not every figure needs to wear a mask or have a codename. Some collectors are eager for realistic designs that they can integrate with military and SWAT setups. Moreover, this kind of figure has broad crossover appeal. Customizers and collectors from Marvel Legends, McFarlane DC Universe, and Valve vs. Action Force lines often blend figures for displays, dioramas, and photography. A detailed police ESU figure adds urban combat, crowd control, and rescue possibilities that G.I. Joe Classified hasn't fully tapped into yet. It's a real-life troop builder with broader appeal beyond just G.I. Joe purists. It's exactly the kind of offering that increases engagement across the action figure community. Here's a counterpoint. Why was a generic police officer prioritized over dozens of core G.I. Joe characters that collectors have been asking for since 2020 when the line first launched? Fans have been waiting years for iconic characters like Iceberg, Deep Six, Short Fuse, Zap, Gung-Ho version 2 with the Marine Dress Blues, Ace, Muskrat, Red Dog, Taurus, Hydro Viper, Toxo Viper, Cesspool, Pythona, Galobulus, the Royal Guard, and so many more. Every time a new wave skips over a classic name in favor of a vague or newly invented character, collectors notice. And often, they get frustrated by the disorganized unpredictability of the line, because there's a constant lack of communication and transparency. Hasbro has a deep bench of beloved characters from the original or Real American Hero line, comics, and cartoon. Instead of leaning into that legacy and delivering what the fanbase has clearly been asking for, they rolled the dice on a real-world inspired riot police figure that they clearly were not fully committed to standing behind. And they did so during a time when law enforcement is at the center of public controversy. This did not have to be made right now. After all, it's just a repaint of existing parts and pieces, meaning this was just another example of Hasbro trying to cash in on a new repaint. But at what cost to the brand? This is not just a questionable marketing decision like a Hasbro rep making themselves the focus of a live event by forcing other grown adults to publicly announce their pronouns at a live panel. Rather, it's a risk that could have been entirely avoided by creating a product so sensitive to the current political climate. Hasbro now finds itself in a position where it either has to defend the choice or quietly walk it back. True to their nature, Hasbro folded and chickened out. Either way, the conversation now shifts away from celebrating the brand during their own G.I. Joe themed month, and instead towards debating the company's judgment and overall integrity. If they had focused on a fan favorite G.I. Joe character instead of chasing after more profit with a repaint, by making someone like Lifeline, Grand Slam, Airtight, or even Big Lob, none of this would be happening. The lesson here that Hasbro obviously won't learn: when you have hundreds of classic characters to work with, chasing topical relevance might not just be unnecessary, it could derail your entire rollout if you're not fully committed to standing by your decision to make it in the first place. Hasbro looks incredibly weak as a result of their own actions. If they won't stand by their own product, why should anyone else? And beyond all of this, let's point out that Hasbro could have easily edited out the portion of their pre-recorded video which discussed the police officer, and then still have released a video in week 2 to promote their latest pre-orders and new reveals. Take it from me, it would only take a few minutes to remove the portion of the video about the riot police officer. But instead, they decided to scrap the whole video, which speaks loud volumes about how poorly Hasbro operates. And honestly, it just screams amateur hour. They advertised a fan stream event, no-showed their own party, and then crashed out in front of their own audience by panicking before anyone even complained. That just seems skittish and paranoid. They owned themselves in front of the entire world and then went into hiding. And as a result, the only conversation was about exactly that. Again, they've done this before, they should have learned from the past, but Hasbro and their G.I. Joe team clearly don't learn from their mistakes. It'll be hard for Hasbro's G.I. Joe team to recover from this embarrassment. With every step forward for this line, they have a habit of taking 2 or 3 steps back, and this raises real questions about whether the right people are in charge of the brand. Now we want to hear from you. What do you make of Hasbro's decision to pull the police ESU figure at the last second? Should they have gone forward with it as planned? Or was this the right call in a difficult climate? Jump into the comments, tell us how you really feel, and let's talk about this. Your voice matters, and this is your chance to be part of the conversation. And there you have it. You've made it to the end of this episode, and we really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. And we would love it even more if you take just 1 second of your time. Make sure that down below you are subscribed to the channel. We ask that you do, because that guarantees that we definitely get to see you back here again next time. Thanks for tuning into Viper Island, your one-stop shop for all things G.I. Joe. When there's relevant news, we'll be here to discuss all of it, together with you. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, have a great day, and YoJo!